I want to pump you full of as much information about arousal as I can so that you can start to determine, is this something my dog is experiencing from excitement that's going into arousal? Is my dog afraid and then exhibiting symptoms of stress? What's exactly going on here? We're going to spend more time talking about arousal than we do fear and the stressor signs that you will see from that, but I am going to cover that because I don't want people that might be in here thinking that their dog is in a state of arousal from excitement when really their dog is fearful and displaying, some pretty serious signs from that. Attempt to set your intention on understanding what's happening before you focus your attention on controlling what you think is happening. You get it. I don't need to say that another way. You get it. I just want you to understand where all of this is coming from in your dog, or start to understand how you could maybe identify that or start on that journey. But as we all know, the journey begins with the first step. And a lot of times that understanding will come from language. So we need to be clear about some body language. We're going to go over that. We're going to see some graphics. We're going to watch some things that Enzo's doing that I'm describing in the video that I caught just in real time out in real life. We're going to talk about why some of that happens, why he's getting like that, the signs of, by then you should be able to tell because we've looked at some of these graphics. And then we're going to talk about fear a little bit and the body language. And then at the end of all of that, we can talk about managing arousal. And I'm going to give you an example that you don't normally see. As promised, before we go any further, I want to explain something to everyone about arousal because I think that people are very confused about what they're seeing in their dog and the difference between arousal and reactivity and aggression. And there's just so many terms that do get kind of blanket used or used improperly. Arousal is something that exists naturally inside of every dog that is a nervous system response. It is not something that you can take out of them unless you lobotomize them or flatten. I mean, I guess you could flatten. I don't know. I don't want to know. A lot of the times people are asking to take away something that is innately a part of who a dog is. And we would do better to accept that this is a part of their nature and a part of the way their body operates. And how can we learn to work with it and help them manage something that's natural to them so that they can be successful in environments? If I were to explain arousal very simply, I would say it's just like an excited kind of state of being. I hate using that phrase. I'm not really sure why I hate using it, but I do right now. It's where everything is heightened. Okay, everything is jazzed. That's why I like using that term because I think it people can understand that when you're feeling jazzy, when you're feeling jazzy, and the jazz could be a 1, it could be a light jazz hand, it could be a full-on Bob Fosse number, so that's how I think about arousal. You're free to think of it as you would like to think about it, but I don't like to think about it as something negative because it's not. It's not negative. It's something that is. It doesn't have a good or a bad. It simply is. And so when we accept that and think about it like that, I think we can move on a little further. Arousal is not fear. Arousal is a body response that comes from a feeling that generally is excitement. If your dog has fear, that's different. You're seeing something different from the body language, and we're going to go over that, but we're going to start with arousal. The next video is just Enzo existing in space and time and me pointing out what his body language looks like. It's a picture, I lied. So you see how I got a like a midline tail. It's not too high. It's not too low, depending on what kind of dog you have. The relaxed position of Enzo's tail looks just like this. His muscles are not all tensed. He's not staring at something. He's just simply observing the environment and existing. So that's what you're looking at there. If you don't know what your dog looks like when they're just at a baseline and observing, it's going to be hard to tell what the other body languages are. So the first thing that you need to know is, what does my dog look like when they're comfortable? What are they able to do when I know that they're comfortable, because this is an environment we either are all the time or we practice here all the time or whatever the case is. What does my dog's baseline look like? Yes! Good boy. Sorry, I was late. Good job. Now that we've seen a calm dog, let's look at our chart. Calm, 1 through 3. If we're doing this off of a scale of 1 to 10, which I love, remember 1, jazz hand. It's light. The song is on. The song is on. You hear it in the background, maybe at a piano bar. Your foot's tapping lightly. That's 1 to 3. Okay, you're vibing, but not, not too much. Excited, but so that's what we just saw, right? He's looking around. He's just standing there. He's vibing with the environment, not doing too much. He's able to listen. He heard his recall and was able to immediately come to me in spirits. He was focused. He was able to engage. That's what you're seeing out of levels 1 to 3. And it says, this is the ideal level of self-control. The dog is calm and ready to work. You probably can't see the whites of their eyes. Their tail is probably low and loose. Their ears are probably relaxed. I recognize that a lot of us have dogs with erect or cropped ears. You know the difference between when they're turned down for what mode? Like, what's that? And when they're just, existing. There's a difference, okay? So that's what we just saw. That's where we're starting. So if we move on and we're moving up the levels, now we're into an excited dog that is doing that for any number of reasons, right? You got a variety of things here. So what on here do you look at and think, oh, okay, so that would explain what might be behind that with my dog. And there's other behaviors. This is just a little sample list, but I thought it was a pretty good one. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to talk about levels again. Our sweet little cute pug there, excited but manageable, 4 to 6. Okay, this is standing in line at the club. You're almost there. You're almost in. I can hear it bumping in there. This is, somebody has said 5, 6, 7, 8 at this point. It's somebody's thrown out and we're going into choreography, okay? Excited but manageable. While a dog can learn and work at this level of self-control, right, there isn't much room for error. One more time. While a dog can learn and work at this level, there isn't much room for error. A dog would only need to get a little more excited, and then the dog would have a hard time controlling themselves. This level's pretty good, but not as easy to manage as the lowest level. Have you, in this moment, just now realized that potentially you were making the margin of error like a tiny, thin little pie slice? You know, it's hard. It's hard. And we're going to watch some of that. And you're going to be like, oh, it happens to her too. It happens to everybody, because you can't remove arousal. You can't remove arousal. You can manage it. You can redirect it into something else that's a little more effective, I guess would be a way of explaining it. But you can't get rid of it. So what can you do? You can learn to be really good at knowing how to manage it, knowing where to put that energy. So in 4 to 6, that shouldn't be where you're playing if you just started doing this stuff. If you see 4 to 6 behaviors, if you see your dog is literally just heard a 5, 6, 7, 8 somewhere, then you, and this is something new, or this is something where the stakes are maybe a little higher, or this is something, pump the brakes, turn the stage lights off. We need to run through this without music, okay? Because you over there are missing, you guys can tell I had a dance background. This is really making sense to me now. You were making a mistake over there. What the fuck was your hand doing? Stephanie, you didn't even hit the count on the right. Okay, we turn off the music. We got to go back. We got to calm it down. We're going to learn this in a different set of circumstances. When we got it down like that, then we're going to flip the music on and do it full speed, right? Okay, you got it. This is a dog that is in arousal. Fred just took off and showed the fastest speed. High tail, fast whip. He's kind of frantically looking around for something to grab, or, you know, a toy to pick up or a stick to play with. And let's watch him calm down. I would throw a scatter, but I'm holding a lot of stuff, so. And see, did you see how Fred did one thing, and instead of ignoring it, Enzo was like, what are you doing? For a second. That is not a behavior he would normally have if Fred ate off of a bush. But he was in arousal. And so he's like, what's that over there? What, sweetie? How are you going straight to eating grass? He's like, I don't know. I'm scattering. That was a very good example. I'll show you what Fred was doing right before that made him go into over-arousal like that. Well, I wouldn't really call that over-arousal because he could still listen to me. And see, now he's got his tail still up pretty high-ish, but it's getting better. We're looking for a midline. We're looking for a midline. He's still looking for something. He's still jazzed. You can tell by the way he's trotting like that. Yes. I'll give him a snack and we'll scatter to help him calm down. Good job. Way to deflect. Oh, and then you just missed a shake from Enzo. Enzo shook it off. He's gonna spunk. Run. Run. He knows how to handle Enzo. He just... Hoping they start playing, but Fred doesn't really seem very interested. But we can try. Maybe he's trying, I don't know. But see, now that tail's going back up. Now his mouth's open and he's panting. He's not closed mouth. He's not hard staring. He looks away. So he's just jazzy, right? He's not in over-arousal. He's just playing and he's excited, and that's causing arousal to rise. Okay, what do we just see? We saw a dog that was going along calm and got excited, but was manageable, right? And the more I have practiced with Enzo, the more, and Fred especially, the more as a team we regulate it. I don't have to generally say anything. because Fred just is like, well, I just stopped moving, and then he stops doing that. He's just figured it out. Jerri, the other goat that I had before with him, the really big one, he would like play with Enzo and he would get into it with him. But Fred doesn't like it. And so he will immediately de-escalate the situation, even if he's playing with me. If Enzo runs over, he's like, nope, because he knows that the more he runs and the more he feeds into that, whatever, obviously this isn't the way he's thinking about it, but whatever is going on with Enzo is, I'm sure, the way he sees it. I don't know what that is, but that's a lot of energy that I am not trying to be involved with, because I think he can feel the predatory nature of it. There's something about it, because even when Enzo's not doing that to him, it's unsettling to him. The more time we spend together, the more he becomes aware of when he can be near Enzo and when he really shouldn't be. And Enzo is also aware that he cannot kind of direct his arousal onto Fred. It's been a really interesting thing for me to see and learn without having to step in all the time. But I couldn't do that unless first I had helped Enzo manage his arousal. So if you're trying to pair animals together, regardless of what, you cannot do it without helping one of them first. You just can't. I mean, I guess if you were a master, I don't know, but I'm not, and I would not recommend that you do it that way. So back to what we were looking at. Excited but manageable, 4 to a 6. If Fred had not stopped, Enzo would have moved right into turn down for what level, which is 7 to 10. Well, it happened. It happened. And you're up there. You're in 7 through 10 now. What does it look like? Is this what your dog looks like? This is pretty much what my dog looks like. It's a different breed, so the display is different. But you're going to see exactly the difference between Enzo existing and being and looking and vibing and turn down for what mode is about to come on. The reason I showed you all of this stuff before, and surprise, surprise, we're going to go back to the other graphic, we're going to talk about it, is because I want to talk about it and then I want you to watch it. Okay, so you know what you're seeing. So you're not guessing. So you're not like, well, maybe that means this, or maybe that. No, it doesn't. That's not what it means. Okay, so if we can take a dog that we know very well and learn that dog's body language, we can start to maybe like, oh, wow, I've seen that in my dog. It looks a little different, but that might be the same thing. And you can start connecting these pieces together for yourself. So ears forward. The eyes are big. I can see that they are, something is clicking in there. Something there, what I think about when I think of Enzo's eyes go through me, I'm not there anymore. I'm really not. It's just whatever the target of the arousal is, that's all he can see. Hard staring. Tense muzzle. You might even see a little bit of their lips lifted up so you can see their teeth. These aren't things that the dogs are conscious of doing. They're things that occur when their arousal level gets too high. These are never things to take personal. Ever. It would be like taking it personal that someone's heart rate went up, or taking it personal that someone started sweating. That's not what's going on. It's something that they can't control once it gets to a certain level. And sometimes even like that level is different for every dog. Stiff legs, and the weight is all over the front legs. All of that is ready to spring and be assisted by the back legs in pointing that direction they're pointing. The tail is up. It's up, and sometimes you will get this little flip wag at the end. Okay, these are important things to know. If you see your dog doing this, they are about to do something they cannot control. I don't care whose dog it is. They're about to do something that they cannot control without intervention. Got it? You got it. The wind is blowing very hard. You can hear it. The energy, like there's electricity in the air because it's about to storm. Fred was just running. Enzo is just, look how jazzy he is now. Look at his tail, that high carriage, the curl over at the end. If it wags, it's really fast. He's hunting, looking. He's looking for some shit to get into because his body is designed to get into some shit when he feels like this. Watch, he sees something and he's, oh, okay. And he's gonna go. Which is different, that's drive. So now you're watching, yeah, there he goes. Oh, no. We're gonna get rained on! See, he's not able to listen as well. Yes, good boy, very good. He made a liar out of me. He's gonna fuck with Fred. Immediately. Okay, and now we're back in arousal, and now we're getting into over-arousal. His mouth is open. He's constantly moving. He's circling. I'm sorry, you guys, I can't wear a mic during this type of stuff. I just have to catch it, and it's just super windy today. I'm so sorry. Now, my dog's had a lot of training. My goat knows my dog. If he just stands still, eventually Enzo will stop and get bored of this game. Not able to listen, not able to get his recall. Hey, you missed. Oh my God. And if I try to stop him, he doesn't really listen because he can't. So I don't. We just stand still and we did try to change it. Find it. Watch how frantically he goes to it. He's like, oh, to take that energy somewhere. I don't try to stop it. I just try to bring it down. Okay, sorry about the wind, everybody, but that was such a great example of how I see it in his life. So when we talk about managing arousal itself, now that you've seen the situations in my life, and hopefully you can connect some of the things in your life to when, wow, if I would have just been able to manage the arousal or manage it better, or I could see where this decision would have maybe helped that a little bit. Now we can start to make those connections. We can talk about it. You've seen me a million times. If you're here, you've been watching me. And all those times that I'm with my dog and my goat, and that German Shepherd is running the fence. You know, the neighborhood's full of dogs. Everyone has a dog in that big country neighborhood. And a lot of space. And it's a variation of the way they keep those dogs. Some are off leash in their yards, some are behind fences, some are on porches. It's a variety of things. There's so much information there. And I mean, I could fill this thing with examples. I'm not going to do that. I want you to go and watch people who talk about managing arousal doing it.